In this tutorial, we're going to go through adding a high score and also a start screen to display that high score. So we're going to add some variables to deal with this. So we're going to right click in an empty space and we're going to add a global variable. High score is going to be one of them. We're also going to add another one called final score. We're going to add a global variable, call it final time. Final time, that'll do. Okay, so I'll show you why we need the final time. When the balloon is in collision with the square block, it's at that very moment we want to record that time. We're not going to suddenly jump out of the game immediately then because the balloon's exploding. It's got 2 seconds to explode. So we want to allow the user to see that occur, but we don't want to kind of count these extra 2 seconds while we're waiting. So as soon as the collision occurs, we're going to add an action, and it's a system event, and we're going to set the value of final time, and we're going to put current time in it. Okay, so the current time, as soon as that changes, as soon as that balloon explodes, we want final time to contain whatever is in current time, and we click done. Then we want to wait 2 seconds, so we add another action, and it's a system action, and it's called wait, and we change that to 2.0, 2.0. So that waits for 2 seconds, and then we want to move to the start screen. So we now need to create the start screen. So we've got this layout 1, and that's the game, but we want to create a new layout, but we need to name these so we make sure we can keep track of things. So layout 1, we're going to right click on it and rename that to game. And on the event sheet that's linked to the game, I'm going to right click on that, rename it to game event sheet. Okay. Now we're going to add a new layout. So we right click on layout and we add a layout, and we want to add an event sheet with this layout. Now each layout can share one event sheet with everything or have no event sheet. Not much use if it doesn't. But we're going to keep the code separate, so it's going to have its own event sheet. And this is going to be called start, and the event sheet for that start is event sheet 1. So we rename that to start event sheet. So you can see that here. So if we click on start on the layout and the properties, we can see that the start layout has the start event sheet selected. We can change that if we wanted to, but we're not going to bother. It's just so you're aware of that. So our start layout, the size is defaulted to the default size of the project. So we're going to change that to 480 by 854, I believe. And we're going to zoom out. Now we need to add some graphics to this layout. So we don't need to import new clouds because we've already got the clouds here. We can just drag and drop them in. Same with the balloon. We can just drag the balloon in the middle there. Resizing it, holding down the shift key so it doesn't go strange. So just add some more clouds. And I want to change the background here. So we click on this layer and change the color. Again, I want it light blue. You can either go with the existing blue or just a new one, that's fine. Now we're going to add the text for the high score. So double click anywhere, and we're just going to use normal text now. And this is going to be called high score text. Insert and click. Now we're going to change the properties of this high score text. We're going to make the font larger and make the font bold, and we're going to center it. Okay, so if you find your text isn't quite showing, you just need to stretch it out so you can see everything. Okay, so now let's get onto the code. So we've recorded the final time of the game, and now we need to deal with that. So we're going to open the start event sheet because it's not open at the top here. So we double click on it, and we've got this blank empty event sheet. So we're going to add an event. So the first event is going to be a system event. We're going to compare some values. So we're going to compare two values. And what we want to compare is we're going to say, is the final time higher than the high score? There's a couple of ways you could do this, but this is the way we're going to do it here. We're going to say, is the high score less than final time? If that is true, because this is an if statement, it's a true or false. So if high score is less than final time, it means the high score has just been beaten. So if that's the case, then we need to add an action, and we need to say um, system. We want to set the value of high score. We want to set it to final time because high score just got beaten, so final time needs to now become the new high score. And we want to now show it on screen. So we add an action, we change the high score text, and we set the text. And remember double quotes, high score, ampersand, high score. So high score is the text, and then high score is the variable. Okay, so that will now show on screen. If the game has never been played, you might want to just kind of add event. We need to still show the high score, so we're going to set the text. So on start layout, we're going to add that, and we're going to change the high score text. We're going to set the text, and this can actually be the same thing. Paste this. So remember, at the very start of the game, high score is set to 0, so that's fine. It just sets to 0. Okay. What we need to do now is we need to have a button on here that we can press to go to and play the game. So we double click anywhere. We're going to add a sprite, and this is going to be called play button. Click. We're going to load that play button, and it's in here. Maybe stretch that out a little bit, holding down the shift keys, all right? Maybe place it down here. Now, we're going to use a command to control this, to kind of record this press, but we need something else added to construct to allow us to do that. So we double click anywhere, and we're actually going to use an input. So we're going to use the touch input. So we insert the touch input. Because this is a mobile game, remember this is a mobile game for phones, and now we've got the ability to say we're going to add an event, and on a touch event, because we've now got that available to us, we're going to say when fingers touching an object, which is the play button, we're going to do something, and that is we're going to go and play the game. So it's going to be a system action, and we're going to go to layout, and that is the layout of game. Okay, so let's just test this. Okay, so high score 0, yeah, great. Click play. That goes to this. Okay. So at this point, it's kind of, well, we've just died. We need to now go to the start screen again. So we go to the game event sheet. So we wait 2 seconds. After we waited 2 seconds, we're going to add an action, system action, and it's go to layout. Layout. And we want to go to the start. Let's test that again. Press play. Okay, died. 2 seconds later, I'm at the start screen again. Now, here's the problem. If I press play again, distance is now higher, and these are lower. These are still high. So what we need to do is we need to reset some numbers, because things have changed. You know, we've been counting down the position Y. The current time has been increasing, and that hasn't been reset. So we need to reset some numbers at the very start. So on the start of layout, we're going to add an action with system, and we're going to set value. So first up, current time needs to be set back to 0. Great, done that. And then another one is add action system, and then set value. And that is position Y. That needs to be reset to 6400, as we have up here, 6400. We need to reset that. Click done. Let's press that and test if that's working. Okay. And again. Yep, so that's all reset. Great, let's test the high score. Let's see if I can stop it from exploding. Okay, I did manage to make it last a little bit longer. Great. So the next thing we need to do is it's a little bit the fact that this distance still keeps counting up even though I've died. We kind of need to get rid of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an action, and we're going to say distance text set visible, and we're going to set that to invisible, and then we just drag that up. See what that looks like. Okay, I died, and then that vanished. That makes it look a little bit better. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we're going to go through adding a logo.